Hi everyone, I'm back. Hope you are excited to watch another video today. Today we're just going to be doing one card, I think, as I need to get caught up on some of my blog posts. I'm like so behind, and I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to do it. I wish I could say, yeah, I'm going to do that tonight, but I don't know. I really just want to play with this stamp set for now, and hopefully we can make a cute card with it. I have been looking at this stamp set and I've been trying to figure out what I wanted to make with it, and nothing is like really coming to mind. So I decided we will do our best to recreate a card from the catalog. So this is the card that they have. I don't know if it's in the catalog, but I know it's online. I'm pretty sure it's in the catalog too. So I figured, why not? We'll give it a shot. I'm just gonna set the picture here to the left, and then we will grab the motorcycle, we need the tracks, and we need the Hope Your Day is Full of Adventure sentiment. And we'll grab some blocks and get started. This should be a cute one. I always need guy cards. Well, I always say that, but it seems like I have a lot of girl cards for birthdays and I never have enough cards for guys. And you would think we would just like evenly do that, like make a card for a guy, make a card for a girl, make a guy for a card for a guy, card for a girl. It never works that way. I always end up not doing that. I don't know why, but I just don't. Now I want to use the waterfront stamp set, but I'm also thinking maybe, no, I think these trees will work. Actually, I think these are the trees and they just fussy cut them out because I don't have dies for these. All right, we're gonna do that. We're gonna be doing a lot of fussy cutting tonight. All right, so let me grab the mountains. We're going to need the trees, of course. Yep, just the mountains. I don't think they used any of the sand. We could always add the sun setting maybe just to make it a little different. We'll see. All right. Set this stamp set aside and hopefully I don't forget where I set it. Same with this one. I'm going to set that one aside and hopefully I don't forget where I set it. All right. We'll start with some garden green and we will stamp the trees first and get those done. And then we'll do the mountains and we'll work our way from the top down. How does that sound? I think that sounds like a good plan. At least it sounds like a good plan from where I'm sitting anyway. So what have you all been doing today? Have you had a good day? Have you had a productive day? I have had a pretty productive day and I actually was good, and I'm trying to, like, I go in these spurts where I do things for myself and I'm good about doing things for myself, like yoga or eating right, or even if it's just one thing a day. And then I get to a point where I just stop because I'm just, you know, I just get a busy day and then I don't do anything for myself. So today I made sure to do some yoga. So I did, it was only 10 minutes, but I did 10 minutes of yoga. So I am so proud of myself today for doing that. So if you've done something for yourself today that was good, it doesn't matter what it is. Maybe you just didn't eat that third cookie that you wanted, or maybe you just did like me and just did some yoga, went for a walk, walked the dog, whatever, something that benefits you in some way. So we all need to do that. We all need to do something that benefits us every day. And I've got to get better at doing that. So I'm just singing my own praises. I did 10 minutes of yoga today, ladies and gentlemen. Woohoo! Hi, Sonia. How are you? Good to see you on here. We're making a cute card today. We're copying out of the catalog because I want everyone to know that you don't have to always come up with the inspiration on your own. You can copy ideas from the catalog. That's what it is for. All right, we'll cut some of these trees out. I think we'll cut one group together and then these other two will kind of separate them like they did on here. Obviously, this is not the cardstock they use now that I'm looking at it, but we are going with Garden Green anyway. That's what ours is going to be. We're going to be similar, but not the same as the catalog. Because that's another thing. You don't always have every color that's in the catalog or every stamp set, so you can always substitute and do different things. You can use the same layout, just do a different thing. Good. I'm glad you're good. How are things? I know you're in Michigan, my friend Sonia that I grew up with. And I know things are a little bit different there than they are here. This one we need 2 trees, then we need a single tree. I may have stamped too many trees, but we might add some extras in. It has been super warm here. We're gonna have some rain because I said, oh, it looks like it's gonna thunderstorm tomorrow. And of course, you know, we've been all social distancing and staying home and not going anywhere. And she said, oh boy, we're gonna get some action tomorrow. And we just busted out and then saw the news and it was like, oh look, it's gonna be high winds. Awesome, we're gonna get some wind. Like, how silly is that we're excited about that? But it's like, oh, something different. And actually we really need it. Like, it is so dry here right now and the pollen is just crazy. So I go outside to do something and the next thing I know, it's just nose is running and I'm miserable. So I'm like, why did I do that? Why did I bother to do yard work? Doesn't make sense. All right, so now that we've got those cut out, we'll save these ones in case we decide to add extras. We'll go ahead and stamp the mountains, and we're going to use some soft suede for that. Of course, I got a big old piece of cardstock here. I'm going to quickly cut it in half because we don't need that much of it. That way we don't have quite as big of a sheet sitting up here. And we will stamp them. Some of them in soft suede and some of them in early espresso. We'll see how dark it looks when we do them in the soft suede. If it's dark enough, then yeah, I think it's dark enough. I think we'll just do them all in soft suede. And then we'll have to cut these out as well. Because we want to have a couple rows of these. Oh, and I should have, here we go. This is what I'll do with this one. I'll stamp these two on the same one. So one's a little bit higher, one's a little bit lower. And then I'll do that with this one, but just the opposite. And then when I cut them out, we can piece them together. I'm having so many issues with this card already. Well, please send some our way, Sonia, because we really do need it. It has just been, don't get me wrong, I love the nice days. But the pollen is so thick and so crazy that anyone with any kind of allergies or asthma or any of that is going to end up coughing and sneezing and runny nose. And it just gets irritating after a while. I'm sure you know. You know how it is when the pollen gets going in Michigan too. It's like, oh, makes you miserable. Completely miserable. I know this is going to be too long, but that way we have, and this one I'm going to do just with a little extra on the bottom because this will be the mountains we put behind. I should have cut close. Well, we can always sponge around the edges where I didn't cut quite as close on that first mountain range. All right, I think that's good for mountains. I don't think we need any more. I think that will work. We've got an extra one if we need it, but I don't think we will. All right, so now we've got our trees, we've got our mountains. We need a piece of, I have a piece of crumb cake here, and this was from an old card that I had taken apart or had cut, and then I didn't need it. So we are just gonna rip this bad boy because that's how this card is made, is with a ripped piece of cardstock. So we'll just go ahead and rip it, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be kind of wonky, but we want that ripped part showing on the front. I'm not, you know, what I'm saying is we're not going to turn it this way. We'll leave it this way, and we want to sponge it. And so I'm going to start with some soft suede to sponge it. And then we can go back, and it almost looks like they sprayed it with some water too, and I didn't add my spritzer. Water to my spritzer after I used it earlier, because I did some watercolor stuff with my spritzer early, and I just forgot to fill it. So we'll go around the edges. And then I feel like it needs some extra dirt on there, so we'll go ahead and rub this in. Hi Kelly, how are you? How are the puppies? Kelly's dog had 7 puppies between yesterday and this morning. So exciting. Now, see, there's kind of looks like maybe they added a little bit of Cajun Craze in there, maybe to get a little bit of a reddish color. So let me just see if we can do that. That's not the same, but definitely adds a little bit of a red color to it. Good try, Val, good try. We're going with it. We're gonna leave it like that. We might add a little bit more of the soft suede on there, because that looks a little too red, kind of like the clay we have here in Florida. Hi Cameron, how are you? Still not the same. I should have, tried this earlier, but I was like, nah, we can wing this. We can do this card. It's not quite the same. But they may have used a totally different piece. They may have started with Whisper White, actually, or Very Vanilla for their original layer instead of the crumb cake. But we're going to stick with the crumb cake because we've already got it and it's ready to go. And like I said, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. We're just trying to somewhat replicate this card. All right. Now we'll take a piece of Balmy Blue, and I need to measure it, make sure we have the right size. So I'm going to pull my paper trimmer out here. I need to get these out of the way before I stick my hand in them. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make it sound like, yeah, I know. I know you've got your party coming up, and I plan on joining that as soon as I'm done with this, Cameron. I'm really excited to see how you do a Facebook party. Cameron is a Mary Kay demonstrator, and he has a party coming up at, oh my gosh, in a few minutes probably, or a minute or two on Facebook, so it should be exciting. All right, we need 5 1/4, so I need to go to this end so I can see the 5 1/4. And now this is the piece that they attached everything to before they put it on the card. And they ran it through the subtle embossing folder. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna run it through this subtle embossing folder. So what you do is you lay your cardstock in and you line it up. I can see the line, you may be able to see it. I'll flip it over so you can see it. There's a line, and that's where you line your cardstock up with to keep it straight. And then we'll put it in the Big Shot, which is off to the side, so it doesn't take up all of my space. And then we just roll it through, and the Big Shot is a die cutting machine and an embossing for this type of embossing. This is dry embossing, where it just leaves a pattern in your cardstock. So if you haven't seen that before, it just leaves, this is the subtle, so it leaves that pattern. And then I also thought we would try a piece of this hammered metal 3D, maybe in a gray or a smoky slate, and just see how that looks, to add a couple of rocks in here somewhere, because we can cut them out after we run it through. Now I'm just going to use a scrap piece since we're going to be cutting it apart, and then we don't have to worry about having a perfectly cut piece of cardstock for this. my goodness, now I'm running it through and I need, because our, some of our embossing folders have changed from what they originally were, and so the new ones need a different plate, not the clear plate, and I always forget which ones are new and which ones are the old ones. This is a new one, it needed the different plates, so for a second it wasn't running through. But there, now we have some little rocky pieces that we can cut out and add just to give it a little bit of extra texture. So even though we're kind of doing this card, I think we might be actually upgrading it. Make sure that piece is not too big. That should work, I think. That should work. All right. I just want to make sure we have everything that we need once we start putting it together. I'm going to use some of the Early Espresso, which is a really dark brown, an espresso brown, for the tire tracks. And again, they don't have to be perfect, just kind of make sure we have them on there. All right, I will see you soon, Cameron. I'm sorry, I hope I didn't miss you before you left. So there we have that. We need to stamp our motorcycle, and all we'll need is a piece of scrap Whisper White for that. You don't have to have a specific cut of Whisper White. So let me grab a scrap. I was trying to find a smaller one, but I don't know. Oh, I think it might just fit on here. Yes, perfect. Excellent. Because there was a bigger piece and then there was this piece, and I try to go with the smaller one whenever I can. Oh, we need a little more ink on that, so let's stamp one more. Perfect. And then we'll go ahead, we can color it. We can make it that same blue, or even a lighter blue, or even a red. I kind of like the idea of a red one. Let's do a red one. Let's grab, let's see, we can do Poppy Parade, and maybe some real red dark to kind of get the colors that we want, and then I'll grab basic black light, and maybe a smoky slate. We'll grab both of the smoky slates and then we can color. So now these are fantastic because these are alcohol based. I'm not sure, Kelly, have you bought any of the alcohol based Stampin' Blends? I feel like you have some of them, but I'm not sure. But if you haven't used them, they're fantastic because the colors blend. So, and I'll just show you real quick. I'm just gonna flip this over because we're gonna cut this guy out. So you can take your Real Red Dark, and then even your Poppy Parade Light. And then in the center where you're doing this, they are blending together. So you can see how that Poppy Parade got a little bit of that real red in there. And that's how it's just, when you color, it just looks fantastic. All right, so we will do just some Real Red Dark just around the top edges of the bumper and under the seat and the gas tank here. And then I actually don't think we're going to need the Poppy Parade Dark. We're just going to go with the light and kind of blend the two in. Now, I'm going to use the writing tip on this just because these are a little bit thinner. And so the writing tip will work better for blending the two colors together. It just gives it a little bit of dimension when you're coloring them in. It's not something you have to do. You can just use one color if you want to. You don't have to use both of the colors. But when I do use the two colors like this, I try to get the lines to kind of blend in together. Hi Lois, how are you? We are recreating a card from the catalog. All right, let's go with our basic black light. And I actually think we can just color the tires in with this color. We don't need to blend for this. We'll just make them black, and they'll be just fine. But then I want to use the smoky slate definitely for some of the pipes and things on it, just to make them a little lighter. And then maybe just a little bit on the seat, around the bottom edge. And then we'll take that smoky slate light and we'll just blend these two together for the seat. Actually, I might take the smoky slate dark and just use the light for the pipes and the engine and all this here. And look, I'm just coloring it all in. I'm probably, some of this is probably supposed to be empty space, but it's all getting colored because I'm not that great at knowing what my motorcycle parts are. I will admit that 100%. How about anybody else? I mean, if you are, great. I wish I was, but I'm not. It's not in my repertoire of things I've had experience with. The only time I remember riding a motorcycle is when I was a kid with my dad, and that was a long, long time ago. There, yeah, that smoky slate dark looks a little better with that on that seat. So perfect. Now we'll just cut this guy out, and then we can start piecing everything together. And then all we'll have left is our sentiment. Now, does anybody have this stamp set? I didn't even ask that. Does anybody have this stamp set? Have they tried anything with it? I did post something the other day and asked if anyone had it, but you know, I know you don't always see every post I post. So I'm always curious what other people have done with a stamp set, what they've made or how they've used it. And like I said, this is one that has been kicking my butt. Like in my brain, I'm like, I just don't even know where to start with it. So I'm like, you know what? Like I said, we'll just do this and see where we go. Because sometimes I really do like to recreate something that is in the catalog, because it is a great way to show off the catalog and a great way to show off the stamp set. All of that together. So has anybody made anything with it? Just curious. If you haven't, that's okay. Just let me know. Throw out a smiley face or a heart or something. Let me know what you think of this stamp set. I've been thinking about Easter cards as well lately. I'm not sure if I'll be even sending any this year. Not that I don't want to, but I just haven't had a chance to work on any. I did have an Easter class that I was going to have here, and I haven't, Sonia hasn't made anything with this. I'm assuming that's what you're answering, Sonia. Sorry. I was busy cutting and not looking when your answer popped up there. All right. So we've got our motorcycle, we have our mountains, we have our background, we have everything but our sentiment. All right, let's see what we got. So if we lay our mountains, and ours is gonna be a little different because I think I have a lot more dirt than they had. If we lay our mountains up this way, on our second mountain, we're gonna cut these off, so don't freak out that they're not exactly right. We're gonna cut them off. And then our little trees are gonna cover some of them too. And our dirt. I think I need to just cut these off a little bit sooner so they can go underneath the dirt here. All right, I'm gonna put some dimensionals on the back of them just to raise them up a little bit. I don't want it to go too close to the left edge. I can always shove some in there after if we need them. There's one in the corner, and then we can start snipping these because I always like to use all the pieces, so just snip them up. A lot of people just rip them. I don't know why, but that is something I try to rip them and they just stretch. And so I'm just like, no, I'm just going to use my scissors on them. I'm not even going to try to stretch them. Everyone is so quiet tonight. I know I can't hear you, but oh my goodness, everyone is so quiet. Who's watching TV while they're watching this? I do that a lot. I'll watch something on here or on YouTube, but I'm also watching a TV show, so I can't concentrate. So I'm just going to tell you right now, kudos to you, because I do the same thing. And it's okay. It doesn't matter. All right, I'm going to have to add, let's get it up here first, or take this one off for just a minute and put one right here. So that way all of these pieces will stick to this and then won't be kind of under. Yep, see, Sonia and I are alike in a lot of ways. She does the same thing. All right, our dirt's gonna end up getting cut off on the edge too, and that's okay. Let's toss in some of our trees maybe and just see. I'm not gonna actually stick them down yet, but I'm just gonna stick them in here if I can. My Stampin' Dimensionals are gonna stop that right there. I wasn't thinking about that. All right, let's just slice right here and maybe it will slide in. Ah, ta-da! Perfect. And we've got our single tree can go over here. And I feel like I might need another tree here just because, or another 2 trees, because I feel like I have a lot more dirt and stuff than what I have here. Well, thank you, Sonia. I feel important, but I do the same. Like I'll watch TV and I'll be doing something on the computer, or I'm just very good at multitasking. And so I just do it. I just multitask a lot. And that's okay. Sometimes I think it's, if I didn't multitask, I wouldn't get anything done. Like nothing would get done. All right. These trees don't need any dimensionals on them, so we'll just put a couple dots of glue, stick them in there, and then we'll do the same with our other trees. I just want to make sure I had them down far enough. Got to give them a second to let that glue dry, or I'm going to move them all over. I mean, that is a bonus of using glue. You can kind of move your parts around, but sometimes it's not a bonus because your parts move around and you're trying to keep them in one place and they're not staying where you want them. All right. I'm going to now add a couple of dimensionals. I'm going to stack them under these edges just because that's pretty thick. Because those are, oh my gosh. I am a mess today, people. Total mess. Use the Take Your Pick tool. To give it in there just to make sure they stay. It's a good thing because then it's not sticking to your hand and it will come off from the Take Your Pick tool easier. So you drop them on the floor like I just did. But I do that a lot. I stick them right to the Take Your Pick tool and then take the backing off and stick them in there. All right, and I feel like we need, oh, see, my trees are all going sideways. I don't want to put double underneath these because I don't want to make it super thick. So I'm just going to put some in the center. And then I'm going to put just a little bit of glue at the top of this, just to make it stick a little bit. Hi, Lisa Marie. How are you? How's your day going? And then a little bit at the bottom too. And like I said, a little bit of this will get cut off, but it's not a big deal. We're gonna do that all in a minute after we get everything on here. Even a little bit at the bottom I think is gonna get cut off on that left side because we got our pieces a little bit bigger than what theirs was in the catalog. Get these out of the way. We've got our motorcycle. We'll put dimensionals on the back of him because he needs to be kind of popped up off the whole scene. And then we'll cut that edge off. And we'll get a card base for it ready. And we'll do our sentiment. I love this Pedal to the Metal stamp set. And I feel like I'm getting something done because now this gives me one more guy card that I'll have. Because like I said, I always need them. I run out so fast. And yet it's not something I concentrate on making. So I have to be better. I'm just gonna snip these. You could use your paper trimmer if you wanted to, but some of these thicker parts, it might be kind of hard to get through. So I just always flip something over and trim it like that if I have a little edge that needs to be trimmed. All right, let's get probably a 1/2 inch. One of these little strips that I always cut off my Whisper White cardstock will be plenty for our sentiment. Looks like it'll fit right on there. And since we did this with Poppy Parade in Real Red, I'm just gonna stamp it in Real Red because that's the darker of the two. Hopefully I'll get it straight. Nope. Gotta stand up and look at it because I couldn't get it straight. Hi, Aunt Sherry, how are you? There we go, much better. We can just get rid of that one. We don't need it. Well, we could cut it out later for something. And then we'll just stick this one on that edge. And it looks like they put dimensionals on that too. So we'll go ahead and just use a couple of these little pieces that we cut. It's not too bad. Not exactly like theirs, but it's not too bad. All right, let's grab some. Let me see, I may already have some Balmy Blue cut. I may not even have to cut any. I have like a bucket full of pieces, you know, cards that I've already cut before. Actually, it might look kind of nice on the Night of Navy. What do y'all think? The Night of Navy, or should I get the Balmy Blue? I don't see any Balmy Blue. We'll have to cut one and then we can compare and see which one looks better. Thought I had one. All right, so all we'll have to do is first we'll score it. Then we can cut it in half. And even though I do like the Night of Navy, I'm thinking I might go with the Balmy Blue just to keep the background all the same. Yeah, I do. I like the Balmy Blue better. All right, we'll put the Night of Navy away and we won't even worry about it. We'll pretend that never happened. Just pretend I didn't even suggest it. All right, now, it probably would have been wise to hook this to the card first, but I knew that we weren't gonna have too many dimensionals right up against the edge because I knew we would be cutting this edge off, and I knew it would just be that edge that was gonna be the worst. And I wanted to make sure I had everything on here where I could trim it before I put it onto the card base. But normally you would put this piece on first and then layer your parts on there. Fold it in half, use your bone folder to go ahead and give it a good crease. Straighten your little tree out there if you messed it up like I did. Get a piece of Whisper White for the inside. And I think on the inside, we will go ahead and put some of the early espresso tire tracks because that'll be cute along the bottom of the card. Oops. All right, apparently I'm not pushing hard enough on my ink pad there. and I'm kind of going on an angle. That's how the card's going to be. Okay, not wasting another piece of Whisper White. Looking around for this, and it's right in front of my face. That's usually how it works. I don't know, like, I will start something, and you guys have seen me do it. And then I literally have just used something, and then I'm like, hey ladies, where did I put this piece or that piece? So what do y'all think? I think that turned out pretty good. I think it's a cute little card. It's not exactly the same. Like, I'm thinking I started with Crumb Cake for this. I'm thinking they may have started with Very Vanilla and may have done like a water, or they may have even done, it doesn't look like shimmery white because it doesn't look like it has a shimmer to it, but I don't know for sure. So we just were winging it. This is what we came up with. I think it looks pretty good. Obviously there's a lot of brown on that card, but that's what happens when you're, you know, out in the mountains and riding your bikes. A lot of brown because there's a lot of dirt. Thank you, Sonia. I love it too. I think it's really cute. So I want to make sure you all know that tomorrow is the last day for Celebration. If there are things that you want to order and you want to get some of those free items through Celebration, you have to do that before tomorrow at 11:50 Mountain Time, I believe, is when they have the cutoff. And what else was I going to talk about? Oh, my April card classes. I have online April card classes this month. I'm just doing my regular card class as a to-go class. So you can let me know if you want to sign up. I'm working on getting kits ready this week. And then if you are out of town, I will mail it to you. If you are local, you can come pick it up on my porch. Just let me know when you're coming because I don't want it sitting out there in the heat. I mean, it's just paper, but it could get wilty, so you don't want that to happen to your paper. And that's it. That's all I wanted to let you know about. So I hope you have a great rest of your evening. I am going to go get some pajamas on, get something to eat for dinner because I haven't eaten any dinner yet. And I will talk to you all later. Have a great evening. Bye.